episode 63 of the Unscripted Company podcast. Your uncle's favorite podcast. Guarantee it. Ask him about it. If not, soon to be his favorite. I'm drawing a blank. We're just going to roll with it. Got Riley. Got JK here. Riley, you want to kick us off with the question of the week?
I do. If you had to trade one memory for a superpower, which memory would you erase, and what would be your new power?
Oh, well, it could be any memory.
It could be any memory.
Oh,
good, bad, doesn't really matter.
I will trade the memory of what I had for lunch today with the superpower of invincibility. Boom. Sounds like a fair trade to me. I'll preface, I had crawfish for lunch today. I went over to a crawfish boil. Not the biggest fan of crawfish, to be honest with you, so I'm okay kind of forgetting that memory. But I'll trade it for invincibility. What about you?
There's a lot of memories I would probably trade for a lot of superpowers. I have a lot I would trade off.
While you think that through, I might even revise my own answer because invincibility, it sounds good in theory, but it's not that fun, right?
No.
Like at least with invisibility, at least you can kind of sneak around. You could go rob a bank, basically. While invincibility, like, yeah, you can still rob the bank, but they're going to know who you are, you know? Like you still got to be confrontational. Where like other things, you can kind of sleuth around, be more low-key about it. Potentially, if you were invincible, then you just have like a really sad life, like Wolverine and Logan. You know, you got to live out your days in the woods somewhere. Doesn't sound too fun.
So let's see here. Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll be honest. Like, this may not sound very healthy, but I feel like I suppressed a lot of my memories. Like I keep the good ones, the wedding and things like that, and a lot of the good things that have happened the last couple of years, but kind of suppressed a lot of memories.
And with that being said, I want to throw it out to our sponsor. You can go to betterhelp.com/unscripted company.
No, I mean, as a kid, I did dumb stuff. Full disclosure, I'd probably suppress the memory of when I got because I've been arrested before. So
you have? I did not know that.
I thought I told you that. Yeah,
no,
I'd probably suppress that.
Oh, like, are we able to dig into that one or not today?
No,
okay,
no. Maybe off camera. But it was a stupid decision. I had to spend the night in jail. Wasn't super like bad. But yeah, I had to spend the night in jail. So if I would trade that and my superpower. So I'm thinking broader spectrum here because, see, I'm not just thinking like invincibility, invisibility. I'm thinking broader spectrum here. So like I'm going through all the list of the Avengers cast in my head right now.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it because I blanked. I was like, invincibility. That sounds good.
I would probably do a Thor, or I've always been an Iron Man fan, but here's the thing though, it's like
you're still human.
You're still human.
Yeah.
Like I'd have his brain essentially, like I could do all the things that he's doing and design all the things that he's designing. But
or you could be a Norse god like Thor.
Or it could be.
Yeah.
Don't have a body like
god.
one.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe that comes with it. Maybe I'll go on a training regimen like he did or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, even Thor had that beer belly in that one movie, right?
Yeah. I ain't there, but I don't want to. I still want to. I'm not saying I want to be as buff as he is, but I just don't want to. Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably go for that. Something like that. One of those two choices.
Cool. No, that makes sense. Curious for those out there listening. We have that audience in Switzerland and South Africa, and I know we talked about this last time, but hey, this is an international podcast, so we might have some international answers. Curious for those of you out there listening. I know some of you do. We see those comments out there. I forgot to pull up comments of the week again. I always forget to do that, but let us know.
Have been getting a lot of comments on TikTok. And for those of you who are watching on TikTok, we can include this on that video as well. The link for the YouTube is there, but you can also find us on rumble.com where a lot of our subscribers are at. So go give us a subscribe. You'll see a lot of other content there and a lot of other maybe fun things to talk about. So
It is wild seeing how viral content can become, view. Well, I guess it's the definition of virality, but just how much more of an audience our content has on TikTok, and we've only been on there for 2 months tops, if that.
Yeah, something
versus
like that.
these other, platforms where you just kind of upload and hope and pray someone lands on it. Whereas, TikTok, the way the algorithm works is it just feeds content and then people consume it and then they comment.
The Dallas video about the naked woman that stabbed, that went crazy, over 13,000 views.
Well, let's be honest. I'm sure a lot of people out there are probably searching TikTok for naked woman, and I'm sure it probably popped up. I might have thought about that when I made the title for it, and then, you throw Dallas, Texas in there, one of the biggest cities in the country. It's a match made in heaven.
Go check us out on Rumble. We appreciate the support.
Yeah, definitely. So that being said, Unscripted Company, for those of you who haven't ever listened or watched before, first of all, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Second of all, you should know we're going to lead off with some topics here. I see a list that Riley and I have put together for the week. There's no promise that we end up talking about all these things, but I see on the agenda, I know I got a couple of personal stories I want to talk about, but then, at least on my end, there's a 90-foot underwater pyramid that could predate Egyptian landmarks and Stonehenge by thousands of years. We've kind of talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm seeing mainstream news pick up on this one, so definitely want to talk about that. Then we had a house explode in Austin today, quite literally. It went boom. People heard it for tens of miles, a county plus away. It's kind of wild. But Riley, what do you have on your agenda for today?
Some of mine is just update based stuff. So just an update for those of you who don't know, there was a stabbing a couple weeks ago at a Frisco, Texas track meet.
Man, that is definitely talk of the town. I'll tell you what.
It is talk of the town. Apparently so the kid who was stabbed was laid to rest at a funeral service on Saturday. But the bigger story is the stabber, he retained a new attorney. So I don't know what happened with his previous attorney, if maybe they were trying to get him to take a plea deal or something like that. It was funny because I saw a post. Someone made a post about this, and they were comparing the two. One's an honor student, and one's done this. I'm like, you're pretty much comparing their races, because you have to think, if he doesn't have a father in the home, you go off those statistics, usually kids who don't have a father figure in the home tend to be worse off than when they do. So they're comparing all those different aspects of it. It's not really fair, instead of just looking at the facts of what happened. You're trying to paint this kid in a bad light. It's if the facts are there and the kid was being attacked or bullied, he defended himself. So, it is
potentially,
what it is.
yeah. And I'm also curious to see, are they public defenders? Were they publicly appointed versus private?
Unless the first one was, and he was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. And then his family decided to, because honestly, if you go to a school in Frisco, your parents, most of the time your parents got money. Let's be honest here.
Yes, you're not wrong there, but there definitely are, individuals that, their families have been there before the boom too, so you're kind of grandfathered into whatever this new gentrified suburb is.
But, he was previously represented by attorneys Billy Clark and Kim T. Cole last week. The law firm released a statement on behalf of the 17-year-old seeking to reduce his $1 million bond. The Clark law firm and K. Cole Law confirmed that their firm no longer represents Anthony in any capacity, and that Dallas defense attorney Mike Howard will now represent their former client. The family of Carmelo Anthony has officially retained attorney Mike Howard as lead counsel in Carmelo's legal defense. The Next Generation Action Network announced, "We are grateful for the early support from the attorneys Billy Clark and Kim Cole as we continue to work to build a strong legal team for the fight ahead." Anthony's new representation are scheduled in court Monday for a bond hearing. There's been a whole bunch of controversy, it seems. Frisco PD has warned the community members about misinformation being spread online by accounts posing as its police chief. At the same time, tensions have been heightened, calling county leaders to address the case, and the shockwave has sent through the community. Says Frisco Superintendent Mike Waldrop said in part, "Let me be clear, Frisco ISD will not tolerate misinformation, manipulation, or any attempt to undermine our community. We are actively reporting suspicious activity and, when appropriate, pursuing legal action against those responsible." An online fundraiser that raised $350,000 on Anthony's behalf. That's kind of wild
That's a lot of money.
If it was the other way around, would they be raising that much money?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That is and this is just, you look at it from past, like you could literally look at the history of when things like this have happened, and I'm pretty sure within the last 5 years we've had African American kids, like maybe not that young, but still young, that have been shot and killed or whatever.
For sure. We're a big country. Yeah.
Where's their money at? Like, where's their news story at? Like, and I'm a white guy and I'm talking about this. I'm not trying to make it about race, but I'm just saying, like, wait till the facts come out, and all that kind of stuff. That's all I'm saying.
But see, in today's day and age, that's not fun. You see, if I run a news website or a news organization, I need people to click. And sometimes the truth isn't clickable,
That's why you have Unscripted Company to talk about the things that other people won't talk about. But like I said, it says it was also that money was also put under scrutiny online. A message from the family on the page reads, "The narrative being spread is false, unjust, and harmful. As a family of faith, we are deeply grateful for all of you who support during this trying period. Your prayers and assistance mean more to us now than ever." Let me also too says, meanwhile, several GoFundMe campaigns for Anthony have been deleted by the platform.
That's interesting. I thought it was innocent until proven guilty, but
they pretty much already painted him as the bad guy, and it's
a good narrative. It makes sense. Like, it makes sense at face value without knowing any of the details. I don't know any more than what we've talked about, but
yeah. And this is the only update so far that I've seen since then. But the thing is, as a person of faith, you can say that you're a family of faith, whatever the case may be, but are your kids that you know of when you're not around living the way that they should be living?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's countless stories about, you have these church families, and on the outside, they appear to be put together, but behind closed doors,
nobody knows.
Your guess is as good as mine. That's one of the biggest things is, like, growing up in the church, don't regret it one bit. Some of these families is like, from my youthful perspective, they seem all put together. It's really not the case. And it totally makes sense. Humans are extremely flawed. People have messy lives. It happens.
Yeah.
But it's tricky when you put a label on something and you assume one thing when quite the opposite is true.
Yeah. So I don't know. As we told y'all last week, we're learning about this as we go along. So everything I just read for the first time, and that's kind of like how we like to keep it around here. We don't like to kind of go in here knowing, that's the whole point of the unscripted aspect, is we just talk about what we talk about, and that's where it's at. So we'll continue keeping everyone updated on that as the weeks progress. But right now, it seems like they've pretty much already condemned him and proven him guilty without him even actually going to trial yet. And if they convict him, okay. If they let him free, here's what I'm worried about. If they let him free, what's going to happen after that?
I think you got to move. I don't think you can live in that town anymore. I don't think you can live in that county.
I was about to say, I don't think you can live in that county anymore.
You might be moving to South Texas or like a different state at that point.
But who's to say that someone's not going to try and do it? Because what you've seen, like, parents do crazy stuff in courtrooms and stuff like that. Who's to say that the parents aren't going to try to do something to him in the courtroom or out of the courtroom, depending on if he gets released or not?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, I don't know these people, so anything I say, doesn't really matter. But I don't think they go that far, because then they could not. I don't know what the right term is. They wouldn't incriminate themselves, but they would cause themselves to also then get into a legal kerfuffle, which is probably not what they want. Because then they would have a criminal record of some kind. They interfered with the court case, things like that. Like, you're gonna do more harm than good.
Yeah. Oh, we'll know. Like, we'll know what happens this trial will take a while. Like, it's not going to be just like, it'll probably be going on for at least like another month or two before anything.
Yeah, I know there's a channel out there. I think it's actually like a public station. I think it's also available on cable channels, but it's not Court TV, because Court TV became True TV. It's another version similar to Court TV where it's just conversation around court cases. Mm-hmm. And I remember I only discovered it once because at one of the prior places I lived at, my roommate and I, our internet went out, and so we just, we went and bought a TV antenna. We was just watching local channels for the first time in like who knows how long, and we discovered, we're like, oh, Austin has this channel we didn't realize existed, and we were watching like all this information about court cases and whatnot, and they're all active updates on the daily basis, like watching the local news just about court cases 24/7. And I feel like this court case is going to be really good for the ratings for whatever channel that is.
Oh yeah, but I just, again, it's not my decision what these websites decide to do. I just think it is kind of wild though that it's like people are trying to raise money to help this kid out, and they're taking it down without even knowing all the facts. Because again, with all that, that's kind of what blows my mind too. Is like if we talked about it last week, if there's cameras around, just watch the video footage and you'll know exactly what happens. You don't have to go through a trial. Watch the video, see how if the twins went up and started pushing on him, bullying him, whatever the case may have been, and he retaliated, you'll see that it was in a retaliatory phase. But if the kids were just standing there just talking and he just up and just like shanked the guy and just stabbed him or whatever, you clearly see that it was unprovoked and he just did it, and therefore you can get your guilty not guilty sentence. It's as simple as that. Like, I don't know. I get that they got to put together more facts, but I just don't understand why it's so drawn out. And they have cameras in schools all over the place, including outdoors. Like, that's a thing now.
The question is, do they have them here? That is the question. Like, do they actually have?
They should.
I would assume you probably have a teenager that probably had their phone out recording something, but I don't know. I feel like I think sometimes we assume there's cameras in a lot of these places, and this might be one of those where there's not.
Perhaps.
Yeah. You'd think there would be. There should be, probably. I don't know. Like you said, we'll find out.
We will.
Man, one thing I want to talk about from this week is my experience with Purple. So, have you ever heard of Purple, the Purple Mattress Company?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're well known because they do this, and this is more for those out there listening who aren't familiar with Purple. It's a mattress. They also make like pillows, bedding, some other stuff, but the mattress is their big thing, and they call it the Purple Mattress because what it is at face value, it looks like a typical memory foam high-end mattress, but they have this layer on the top layer, which is made of this like purple silicon rubber looking thing, and it's like this mesh thing. Anyways, super comfy, very high-end. Like, it's definitely not a cheap mattress, to say the least. And the reason I bring up Purple is, man, Abby and I have had a heck of a time with Purple. And I just want to get this out there on the internet in case Purple wants to send me any free merch as an apology. So let's rewind a little bit. Back on March 25th, Abby and I decided, you know what? Let's buy a Purple mattress. We're gonna buy ourselves something nice as part of moving into this new house. And a mattress is one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's really easy to skip on the mattress, but then when you sit and think about it, you're like, I sleep in a mattress literally every night of the week, hopefully at my house or wherever I live. So why not? You know what? Let's figure out how to make this happen. Let's treat ourselves with this one item, right? And so we sit down and we're like, okay. So we bought a Purple mattress, and we got 2 of their Purple pillows. Same concept as the mattress. We're like, okay, cool. Purchase this on March 25th. It's e-commerce, so buy it online. They use FedEx, and it was FedEx ground shipping, so like 3 to 5 days, totally normal, expected shipping, right? At the time we made the purchase, we hadn't even moved in to our current place that we're at now. We were still living with the old house, and the 2 pillows actually showed up pretty fast. So everything was supposed to get here in about 5 days. We ordered March 25th. They said, hey, everything will be here March 31st. Sounds reasonable. 2 pillows show up on, it was like March 26th. Might have been March 27th. Like within 2 days. It was extremely fast. We're like, whoa, this is crazy. Well, the mattress didn't show up. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Let's give it a little bit because the original delivery date was supposed to be March 31st. Well, while we're waiting, I started to notice, like, when you purchase something online, whether it be Amazon or any e-commerce, usually if they give you a tracking number, you're able to go through UPS, FedEx, wherever, and see the stops along the way, right? Well, anytime you click the tracking number on this thing, it takes you over to FedEx, and FedEx says, sorry, we don't recognize this tracking number. Talk to the seller. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, well, let's just give us some time. We wait, March 31st. rolls around. There's been no update on the shipping, the tracking, anything. And so March 31st, I call Purple. I'll give Purple some credit here. Their customer service team, extremely kind, courteous, and patient, which is kind of part of the problem in this story. When I call them, super nice. I say, hey, purchase this mattress, 2 pillows. 2 pillows showed up just fine. Waiting on the mattress. Haven't seen any updates on the tracking. Can you give us any context here? Because it said it was supposed to show up on the 31st. One thing that happened, and I should preface here, in between the time of the pillows arriving and me calling on the 31st, we have moved into the house. Thankfully, we have another mattress for like a guest room type setup. So we're not totally outside of a mattress here, but call them and they go, oh yeah, let me look into this. And so while they're on the phone, they tell me, oh yeah, this something's wrong with this tracking number. This might be a dead label. Like something's wrong here. I can call FedEx real quick and get back to you. And I'm like, yeah, please do. So they put me on hold for like 10, 15 minutes. They call FedEx. I wait. They circle back with me and they go, hey, so just talked with FedEx and FedEx did confirm this is not a real tracking number and FedEx doesn't recognize this shipping label. So FedEx never picked it up and it's still sitting at the warehouse. And I'm like, okay, I mean, less than ideal, but at least, hey, we know what the issue is now, right? Let's resolve this. Well, resolving it isn't as easy as you think. Purple then proceeds to tell me, well, you see, we are contractually obligated with FedEx to wait 10 days after shipping does not occur for a package before we can consider it a dead label. And I'm like, hold up. You're telling me like from this date, which I called you on the March 31st, I now have to wait 10 days to have this label be marked as a dead label, even though we know for certain this package is sitting in your warehouse still, hasn't moved 1 inch. We have to wait 10 days to then reprint a label and ship it out to me. And they're like, yep. And I'm like, this is not good. So I politely say, thank you, hang up. Abby and I kind of talk for a second and we're thinking through like, okay, we know we have to wait 10 days for this, but we've already purchased it. The only other way to get a Purple mattress is to go to like an actual mattress store that carries the line. And then you have to deal with that whole thing. We hadn't gotten a refund yet because the order is still placed. And we're like, okay, hang on, let's think this through. So I call Purple back, same day. I get a different person. Makes sense. It's like a call center type setup. And the person was still kind, courteous, patient. And they tell me, oh, no. Your package is still in transit. Give it some time. And I'm like, hold on a second. I've been told something different. I was told that the FedEx didn't recognize the number and it had not shipped. And now you're telling me, no, it has shipped. Give it some time. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe this story. So I kind of hang up on them. I'm like, okay, let's give this.
Nicer than I would have been, dude. I would have been like, yo, can I speak to a supervisor?
Well, here's the wild thing. They are so like, I'm not exaggerating when I say I think they are the nicest customer service team individual I've ever interacted with. Like ever. It's very weird. They are super nice. I think they actually like work remote too. So like, I don't know.
$1,500 mattress, $2,000 mattress. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. For context, it is definitely over a $2,000 mattress.
But also too, I could have told you like 4 other mattresses that are just as good, if not better than Purple, that cost you like a fraction of the cost. Dude, that you can still order online.
I don't doubt that. I mean, there definitely are a bunch out there. You have like Nectar and Casper and
ours is Lull.
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 Okay.
It's a box mattress, and it was $700 for a queen size, and it got here in like a week and a half.
I don't doubt that, but after seeing these pillows we purchased, the Purple grid layer top thing, it's kind of revolutionary. It's kind of a beautiful thing.
I don't care.
I know.
Maybe eventually, but
yeah. Also, really heavy. Each of these pillows is like 30 pounds. It's kind of crazy. I'm not exaggerating. Like, if you use it in a pillow fight, you might commit homicide.
That's
It's kind of crazy.
Why do you need a pillow why is it that heavy?
Also, the pillow might have been like $300 each.
Half of it is air.
Yeah. So the way the pillow works is they use like the Purple like rubber silicone material. It's a thick layer of that. And then they have what they call like risers, I think is what they call them. It's basically 2 individual layers of memory foam below that, so that way you can elevate the actual like Purple grid material. And it, you know, it unzips, so that way if you want to lay completely flat or you want to layer it up a little bit. I will say the pillow does sleep pretty flat, a little more flat than my liking, but I paid for this pillow. I'm committed to using it regardless. It is a comfy pillow though. And that purple grid layer on top, it's great for airflow. So if you sleep hot, this is kind of a genius setup for if you want to sleep as cool as possible. But I digress. So we wait another day. So now it's April 1st. Funny enough, it's also April Fool's. I call Purple back just because there's been no update on this thing. And if I went to Purple to track the package, of course the tracking doesn't work, but their estimated delivery, now that March 31st has passed, it now says awaiting carrier pickup. There's no more date on this. It just says awaiting carrier pickup. So I call back, and I'm at the point where I may have stretched the truth on a little story here. I'll say this one for the podcast. Is I might have called and started off the conversation by saying, "Hey, so my pregnant wife and I have moved into a house. Full disclosure, my wife is not pregnant, and that we are without a mattress and we don't have anything, and we are just sleeping on the floor. And I need to find a solution now." They were, of course, very nice and courteous, but there's no solution here. Gotta wait 10 days at this point, 9 days for this label to be considered dead.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, end up waiting the full 10 days, ends up turning into 12 days. And then they had to replace the order because it's not as easy as just reprinting the label. It's like they recreate the order from scratch and then have to wait for that order to then get processed and shipped out. So it's as if I had placed a new order again. And we should theoretically get the mattress tomorrow, April 14th. So for those of you following along at home, made the order March 25th, got the pillows in about 48 hours, and the mattress will get here 20-something odd days later.
I would have just canceled the order, dude. Just went to a mattress store and just bought it. Like, I'm not
I
even
thought
joking.
about it. Yeah, no, we thought about it, but here's the kind of the tricky part, and it's not terribly tricky. I'm sure someone in the comments could tell me, "Oh no, this is stupid easy," and you might even tell me this is. We financed it, and so I didn't want to like cancel something that like we were about to actually start paying the finance on, and like they are. Here's the other thing. I neglected to say this from the story. I did some sleuthing and I did find a 20% off coupon at one point. So I did get 20% off the whole order, which it would have cost more going to like a mattress firm or like any of these brick and mortar mattress stores.
You could have called them and asked if they could have honored it.
Maybe. I mean, do they do that?
I've seen some people. I didn't even know that you could do that with ammo.
Yeah. And you can do that with ammo?
Yeah. Oh. Like, because I was at Academy and like I went up there to buy a couple boxes and it showed the
Academy does do price checks in terms of
where the ammo was sitting at. It said $10 a box, and I was like, okay. And I go up there and she scans it and it says $16.99. I was like, hold up, wait a minute, because I was like, listen, like I shoot a lot of ammo. Okay, I gotta find the cheapest that I can, but still the best that I can, in a sense, And so she was trying to get her manager, but she asked me to go back there and take a picture of it. So I took a picture of that barcode. I grabbed 2 boxes of this ammo and then grabbed 2 boxes of this ammo to have as a backup and a backup to that backup in case that one didn't work. So I go back up there and she scanned this one and I was like, well, this one's sitting over here at this spot that says this price tag, but you're saying it's this price tag. Do y'all do price matching? She was like, yeah, as long as it's not a sales price. And I was like, okay. And so I showed her on Shields, I told her, I was like, at Shields, it's $12.99 a box, where Academy had it for $14.99, which I'm like, why don't you just have it for $12.99 if you say you got the lowest prices in Texas? Quit lying to people. So I show her, and she was like, well, that says 124 grand. And I was like, nope, here's 115 grand. Give me my $11.99 a box. so yeah. And so, but they do. You could have probably seen if they could have done price matching. If they could have, I would have just canceled that order, man. That is not worth waiting for comfort, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so like, the whole joke is like we're fully moved into this house, except we've been sleeping in like what we consider our guest room. So we have yet to actually sleep on. We have like the bed frame all set up. We got nightstands all set up. We got comforter, sheets, literally everything except the mattress, which should be here tomorrow. But I will say, Purple has one of the nicest customer service teams, dude. It's like one of those things where you feel bad the minute you start to hound them on.
I don't.
I know.
It's my product. Like, and I get it coming from a customer service aspect, but it's like, I ordered this. I paid for this. Like, I ordered something for my laser engraver, and it was supposed to be in on Monday, but because it was kind of like, so I ordered it on like beginning of 1 week, and it was like it'll be here like a week later because it was coming from China. It was international shipping. I was like, okay, cool. And then now all the tariff crap, I was like, okay,
yeah.
So it gets to Los Angeles, and it sits at Los Angeles on the tracking number for like a day and a half later. So I call Amazon. They're like, we can't do anything about this because it's a third party. I'm like, okay. So they were like, give it till the 10th if it doesn't come in. But then next thing you know, Amazon updates it to give it till the 11th. I keep checking that tracking number. It says it was sitting at customs, or the customs clearance for like 4 days, and then it just straight up updates to it's on the way for delivery. And I'm like, okay. So I got it like 5 days after it was supposed to be delivered.
Yeah.
And so,
man, those China tariffs. I don't really have like an article to pull up to reference it, but this past week,
145% was the last I saw it.
Yeah, it was crazy though, because I know last week, and I even posted this on TikTok and YouTube after the fact, knowing that got the prediction totally wrong because the administration backtracked on implementing the tariffs. They put a 90-day pause on it, or
on all of them besides on all of them except for China.
Yeah, but like it was crazy, and I've seen the graphic float around. I didn't think to pull it up ahead of time, but it was showing how last week alone we had one of the top 10 biggest single day declines in the S&P 500, but then also one of the highest single day increases in the S&P 500. And I think like you can throw NASDAQ into that too, just like the market as a whole. I know the bond market's been going crazy too. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I just wanted to, I guess, like go back to what I mentioned last week about how we thought Monday was going to be crazy. And because we backtracked, I say we, the presidential administration kind of did a 180 on their approach to the Chinese tariffs. The market absolutely exploded and then tanked and then re-exploded. It's just been like, did you ever watch SpongeBob growing up?
Mm-hmm.
You know the scene where they're trying to take care of the egg in the driving school thing, and Patrick's sitting there turning the light off and on. He goes, life, death, life, death. Like that's been the stock market for about 2 weeks now, give or take.
That's what I feel like about my actual life. Life, death, life, death, life, death.
Yeah.
All jokes aside.
I'll just remember to buy low and sell high. That's how you do it.
Sure, I'll listen to all the finance gurus on Facebook Reels.
Well, mathematically, if you do buy low and sell high, you'll be fine. But just who knows when you buy low and who knows when to sell high.
Well, on another, well, actually, this is another depressing note in a sense, but apparently there were 73 visas that have been revoked from students in North Texas universities.
Oh, interesting.
So, University UNT being one, and the University of Arlington and Dallas, or University of Texas in Dallas. They're
targeting the pro-Palestinian protesters.
Yeah. So more than 300 international students visas at campuses across the country, and at least 73 of those are at universities across North Texas. The thing is, though, I also heard too that they're pulling the funding because of the Department of Education stuff. They're pulling the funding for a lot of those colleges for that kind of stuff. I
saw they were investigating. I know North Texas was one of the ones in Texas under investigation, and then Rice University. Mm-hmm. I think there might have been a couple others too, but those are the two biggest that I remember.
Yeah, but
what a time to be alive, man! There's a lot going on. Well, like if we were legitimate news broadcasts, which I don't want to be, like there's so many things to talk about right now that are going on just in the country alone.
Yep, and it is it's interesting. Now, here's my question, though, kind of related to this. If they abolish, which I think they're like this close to getting rid of the Department of Education, what happens to my student loan?
Oh, you'll still have to pay that off. Don't you worry.
I kind of figured as much, but are they just going to sell it to a third party?
No, well, I don't believe so, because I think I need to double check, because I could be incorrect in saying this. I think the loan itself originated with the Department of Education, but I think it's being paid back to like another government entity. But then you have to.
The one that I pay, it's paid to the Department of Education. Like that's one of the two. The other one goes to a third party private loan. But the reason why I ask is because and again, I stand firm on this. If you go to school and you get a 4-year degree and you get a job, doesn't matter what kind of job, but you get a job and you're actually making decent money, working your way up, you should have to pay off your student loan. No ifs, ands, or buts. But if you go to school and you're someone like myself who gets the runaround by not 1, not 2, but 3 student advisors and gets told the wrong thing, apparently the right thing, but then becomes the wrong thing, and you get screwed out of your financial aid and you can't afford to go to school anymore, I should not have to pay back my student loans. I should not. I'm sorry, but I shouldn't. I'm still paying my student loans off. I'm not defaulting on them. I'm still paying mine off. Whereas there's a lot of people out there who have a college degree, have a job, and are complaining about their student loan payments. If you would have refied back in 2020, you would be a lot better off right now.
Here's the thing I wonder about with the whole refi of student loans. I did double check it. You are correct. It is the Department of Education that owns direct student loans. And you have all the privatized nonsense, which good luck on that one. The one thing I've always been hesitant in terms of refinancing, I'm not going to do this now because rates are where they are, is I know politicians love to dangle the idea of canceling student loans. No one knows how to rationally go about doing it. I doubt it'll probably ever happen. If it does, it's because there's a legitimate, something much grander than COVID going on. Because you notice, like, COVID is probably how do I word this? Probably the biggest shock to the financial system in our lifetime. Don't get me wrong. The 2008 financial crisis was a legitimate concern of international proportions. But I think for about a month there, about a half a month, like March and April of 2020, the COVID scare on the stock market alone was beyond comprehension. I mean, you just look at any graph and you see the decline there, but it had a quick bounce back too. So it's hard to compare because in 2008, the collapse there, it did have somewhat of a quick bounce back, but not within like days or weeks. Whereas 2020, it definitely had a bounce back in there. But we also printed trillions of dollars to allow that bounce back. Why am I saying all this? The reason I kind of brought this all up is I would be hesitant to ever refinance my public student loans that the government owns and get them refinanced by a private institution. Because the one thing no one ever really talks about is if, and this is a big if, because I don't think it'll ever happen, if there were to be a president or the federal government were to cancel student loans, they would cancel the ones that are publicly held by the Department of Education. They can't tell, or maybe they could through executive action, I don't know, but they can't tell a private loan holder. They can't go to SoFi and say, hey, you know all those like student loans that you refinance? Like, yeah, just cancel all those, because SoFi's gonna be like, no, we're a private business. Well, they are publicly traded, but they're not gonna cancel all these privately held student loans.
Well, I'm okay with that. I mean, it would at least get $4,500 taken off that I wouldn't have to pay.
No, yes, for you. But what I'm saying is like that's the reason I think a lot of people probably didn't or like shouldn't have refied when they did, because the minute you get it off of public, then it's like the government's big if they ever cancel, they're not going to cancel privatized student loans.
Well, that's the thing though, is when I refied both of my loans, it still kept the one through UNT. It still kept it through the Department of Education.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it didn't take it away. So like, I had to pull out a loan through Wells Fargo, and that was through First Mark. Well, it wasn't First Mark Services at first; it was a different one. But then it got sold to First Mark Services. I refied both of them because, technically speaking, aside from the one through UNT, my dad was on, because he had to co-sign for me for the other one. So I refied so that I could get, because my dad wasn't worried about me making the payments, but I still wanted to refinance to get a lower rate. So I got like below 4% on both of them.
Wow.
And so it's like, I have like no interest at all whatsoever. Like everything I pay pretty much goes towards principal. My payment goes down every time. But my point being is, if or when the Department of Education does get abolished, because I want to say it's any day, like now, because they're this close, I think, because of all the stuff that they're cutting away. What is going to happen? Like, are they actually going to sell them off to third parties, or are we just going to have to pay them back? Like, how's that going to work? So,
let's see. Let's ask our AI gods. I'm asking ChatGPT real quick. It says, if the United States Department of Education were abolished, what happens to student loans would depend entirely on how the abolition is handled, which agencies take over, what legislation replaces current structures, and whether existing contracts and repayment mechanisms remain intact. Here's a breakdown of what could happen. If abolished, but functions are reassigned, student loans would likely continue to exist. The federal government could transfer the student loan program to another agency, as an example, the Treasury Department or a new education-focused office. Borrowers could still be obligated to repay their loans. The contracts wouldn't vanish just because the administering department changes. Servicing might change hands. Loan servicers might shift under a different management system, causing disruptions in communication portals or forgiveness processes. Let's see here. It says, if abolished and federal student aid is dismantled entirely, federal student loans would stop being issued. No more subsidized or unsubsidized Stafford loans, plus loans, or grad plus loans. Private lenders might fill the gap, likely with less favorable terms, especially for low-income students. Existing loans could be sold off to private entities, similar to mortgage securitization. That is a good point.
Yeah.
Because FHA loans are bought and sold all the time. So, I didn't even think about it that way. That's a good analogy to think about it. It was home loans. Let's see here.
As long as my interest rate still stays the same, I don't care.
Ooh, wouldn't that be a kicker if, I don't know if they could even do this legally, but similar to like a mortgage security, like if you took it out with the government and the government abolishes whatever, the Department of Education, et cetera. And so the loan gets sold off to a private entity somewhere. And then at that point, the private entity says, well, hey, we bought it at this rate. So you're now under our umbrella. You get to pay this interest rate. I'm sure there might be some kind of legal code to.
I'll tell them no.
Yeah.
I will tell them no. I'll be like, nope, you're keeping my loan at the same price it is. I'm like, you're getting set. I'm going to treat you like the healthcare system. You're getting exactly what I can afford every single month. And that's it.
No,
take it or leave it.
I think they're going to have to do that at some point because, dude, like our generation, like, yeah, there's generations ahead of us that are for sure still paying off their loans. But I think those of us in our generation who got a 4-year degree in something totally irrelevant from the marketplace, and they're still working at like Starbucks, Costco, things like that, like still making decent change, but not enough to pay off 50, 60, 70, 80, dare I say, like some of these kids that went to like private university and they're working at Starbucks right now, and they took out $120,000, $160,000 in loans.
I only had 12,000 and I'm just now right below the 10,000 threshold, and I've been paying on them for like 5-6 years.
Yeah. And that's a big deal. Yeah.
No, I want them paid off.
I know. But that's what I'm saying is like, that's a big deal. It's a big milestone to get down that low, to know that you're still chipping away at it. But like, yeah,
I just want them gone. It's so constricting. I need that extra money per month, but my goal is to still have them paid off this year, but that's another conversation for another time.
Yeah. So if you're in the market for a new single family home residence or any kind of property, that being said, follow us up in the comment section. Tag Riley. Riley will hook you up with some of the best property available in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
I'll do what I can.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'll let you choose the journey on this one. Do you want to learn about a house that exploded in Austin, Texas, or do you want to learn about this underwater pyramid that we've kind of talked about, I think, before? I know I've been aware of this for quite some time, but it seems to be hitting the news cycle again.
Let's just go to the pyramid.
Yeah, we can go to the pyramid. Everyone loves a good pyramid story because no one knows what the heck's going on. So, headline from the New York Post, 90-foot underwater pyramid could predate Egyptian landmarks and Stonehenge by thousands of years and rewrite history, scientists say. Is this the real-life Atlantis? A 90-foot pyramid submerged just off the coast of Japan is turning heads and could shake up everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Sitting 82 feet below sea level near the Ryukyu Islands, the Yonaguni Monument has baffled scientists and divers since it was first discovered in 1986. The enormous stone structure, complete with angular steps and flat terraces, looks uncannily like the ruins of a man-made temple, despite being over 10,000 years old. That timeline, if proven accurate, would date it thousands of years earlier than Egypt's pyramids or England's Stonehenge, and possibly make it the oldest known structure ever built by humans. Supporters of the theory say the Yonaguni Formation, nicknamed Japan's Atlantis, may be evidence of a forgotten civilization that predates the rise of agriculture, a concept that, if true, would rewrite the timeline of human achievement. But skeptics aren't buying it. The sunken stone sparked fresh debate when author Graham Hancock and archaeologist Flint Dibble clashed over the site on a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, which is a great episode. If anyone's got time, definitely go listen to it. A quote from Flint Dibble says, "I've seen a lot of crazy natural stuff, and I see nothing here that reminds me of human architecture." Hancock, a well-known proponent of lost ancient civilizations, fired back saying, "To me, Flint, it's stunning that you see that as a totally natural thing, but I guess we've just got very different eyes." Hancock pointed to what he says are clear signs of intelligent design, including what happens to be carved steps, megaliths, arches, and even a face-like engraving etched into stone. If this really was built by a mysterious civilization more than 10,000 years ago, it would place Yonaguni in the same league as Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, one of the oldest known man-made structures dated to around 9,500 years BC. Japanese geologist Masaki Kimura has also backed the theory, arguing the monument may be part of a lost continent known as Lemuria. He previously suggested the formation was built 2,000 to 3,000 years ago when sea levels were significantly lower. Not everyone's convinced. Boston University professor Robert Schock called the strange shapes basic geology and classic stratigraphy for sandstones. In a past interview with National Geographic, the sandstones tend to break along planes and give you these very straight edges, particularly in an area with lots of faults and tectonic activity, he explained. So, what is the Yonaguni Monument really? A lost city swallowed by the sea, or just a freak formation sculpted by Mother Nature? So it's really interesting. I know we've kind of talked about this before. Here's a good image of what it looks like here. But
is that like what it looks like mapped out?
Exactly. This is what it looks like under the water. I think it's like miles off the coast.
I mean, I don't put it past tectonic plates and erosion and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like for it to be that detailed, like there had to have been something that lived like that did that like at some point in time.
Yeah.
Unless it was done before it got submerged underwater. But
yeah, that's what I like to kind of think about. And here's a good image of just showing you like the perspective of when a human diver is kind of swimming up next to it. There's so many photos out there, but it really makes you wonder, like, what the heck is this? Here's like another graphic of the monument. But it could be naturally occurring. Maybe it's man-made. I like the whole theory of, and I know we've talked about this on other episodes, but the sea level, it rises, it recedes. And I know I've thrown this fun fact out there before, but if you think about all the major urban centers in our world, literally in the entire world, the vast majority of them are along the coast. Dallas-Fort Worth is the rare anomaly in this, but they also have a massive airport, and they're created in the modern era. But if you think about every other major city on this planet, they're all next to major bodies of water. So it wouldn't be crazy to think that if you rewind 5, 10, 20,000 years ago, the sea level was a totally different thing. Water freezes during the Ice Age. It removes water from the ocean. You had these cities built farther out than what we think of as the ocean line today. Earth warms up a wee bit. The water comes back. Sea levels rise. It's now underwater.
I know we talked about that before, but I'm trying to see if because you said every major city in the country is near a large body of water, right?
Yeah, I would say major city, like big.
Would you consider Denver?
City. No, I would not.
What about Phoenix?
That is a big city. That is definitely. Is that where do they rank in the top 10 though?
Yeah, type in top 10 largest cities. Because then you will also have like Sacramento.
Well, okay, so Phoenix, 1.6 million. But you got, okay, so here's the top 10 I'm seeing. And this, I'm sure this changes every few years as population change. We got number 1, New York City, boom, coastline. Los Angeles, number 2, boom, coastline. Number 3, Chicago, boom, Great Lakes, which lead out to the ocean. 4, Houston, boom, body of water on the ocean. Phoenix, Arizona, definitely anomaly, number 5. 6, Philadelphia, access to the ocean. San Antonio, along a river. San Diego, coastline. Dallas, airport, no coastline there. Jacksonville, that's Florida. That's the top 10 at least.
Okay, because what about Atlanta?
That's a great question, actually, about Atlanta.
That's a pretty big city.
That is a big city. I don't know if it was on the top 10 per se. Of course, kind of ebbs and flows. Too. They do. They are a huge airport hub.
And then technically Orlando, it's not by a large body of water.
Okay, but what's the population of Orlando? And think about why Orlando is populated.
That's true.
It's got a lot of theme parks there. It's a tourist attraction. A manufactured tourist attraction of the mid-20th century.
Oh wow, that's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. So as of 2025, the population of Atlanta, Georgia is estimated approximately 518,000 residents.
Yeah, not even 1 million people.
That's actually kind of insane.
It is interesting how some cities have such an aura or perception around them that you think they're much grander than they are. But also Atlanta, it went through the Civil War. They burned down the city of Atlanta during the Civil War, So it kind of had to catch back up.
Well, say San Antonio has almost 1.6.
Yep.
Actually now the growth is actually up to 2.8. So, I mean, they're technically not a large, they're not near a large body of water, but they're
along a river though. Yeah. That river might be on the verge of drying up here soon, but
yeah. I'm trying to see. Let's see here. You want to consider Denver? I'm just trying to look for those.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for those those.
No, please do. Like it's interesting to think about when you really start to look at it. You're like, oh, like most of our major cities are connected to a body of water.
Because you can't really say so. Nothing in Idaho, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. You can't really say any of those.
And even if you think about like Oregon, you got Portland, but that's along a river that leads to the ocean.
What about Indianapolis?
No. That is a big city. Don't get me wrong. Indianapolis is like a bigger city, but it's definitely not a major like international metropolitan hub.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So Columbus, Ohio has an airport. I don't know how big that city is.
Oh, no. We're in small potatoes here.
Yeah. Pittsburgh? No, Pittsburgh's not. Looks like
Pittsburgh's also along the body of water, though.
It's the rivers. That's what it is. But they've got an international airport. It actually looks pretty sizable, though. Like when you see like all of like the intersecting neighborhoods and roadways.
Yeah, but let's play a fun game. Don't Google this. You want to guess Pittsburgh's population?
386,000 people.
Dang, you're close. 303. As of 2023.
That's insane.
Yeah. But remember, it's also Rust Belt. So, Pittsburgh died off there for a little bit, along with the Rust Belt cities. And it's kind of back on the come up because it became super affordable to live there because they had a lot of real estate that was just kind of left. And so it was kind of like a revitalization, you know. Chip and Joanna Gaines would have loved it.
Yeah. No, there's just nothing. It's like anything outside of Texas, Florida, New York, freaking California. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah. But if you think about it, historically, humans traded and traveled on bodies of water. So you never had situations like really up until the train where you would be able to go to Topeka, Kansas. First of all, Topeka, Kansas wouldn't have existed yet.
Right.
But going from like Topeka, Kansas to Reno, Nevada, like how are you trading goods? How are you traveling? Because you can't get on a boat. Let's predate to the train here. You can take a train. Like you go on horseback. Well, you go far enough back, and we didn't have horses over here. I say we, the indigenous people, didn't have horses.
I never noticed this before. So yeah. you know how they changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America?
Yee.
Okay. Did you know was the Gulf of California always called the Gulf of California?
I believe so, yeah, because it's Baja California. It's not actually California. Like it's not California the way you and I think of like the state of California, but Baja California is the peninsula that sticks out. It's part of Mexico. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a good call out though. I bet you a lot of people probably didn't realize that because I didn't think of, I don't think about Baja too much, but I remember, I think I was in high school when I first learned that Baja California was a thing. First of all, I was like, oh, like, first of all, like, why don't we have that?
Yeah. Because it's technically in Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand things.
If I remember correctly, the Gulf of California is actually a huge, I want to say, mating ground for humpback whales because it's kind of protected from the weather and it's still the same ocean. I know they do like a lot of whale watching. I think it's humpback whales. Let's see here. Yeah. Humpback whales from the North Pacific congregate in the Gulf of California for mating, calving, and nursing. Yeah, it's a fun game for anyone out there in the international audience that's listening. Think about the country you're in. Think about major cities and where they're located. I think another one of the anomalies, which I could see someone throwing out in the comments, would be like Madrid. Madrid's definitely very inland, but I think it was manufactured that way very specifically because it's definitely not. I think if you look at the history of Spain, I think if I remember correct, I have a vague memory of this. I could be misremembering. I think Madrid was like specifically created inland for defense purposes because it's definitely it's not like Barcelona, it's not Valencia, it's not like over in like Gibraltar by Tangier and all that. Like all those other larger cities are along the coastline. A lot of Europe's along coastline. Paris, definitely inland, but it's along, a river that can take you out.
Right.
So. Water, man.
Yeah, water. Well, speaking of whales, so I was just kind of I had some Twitter articles. I guess they're all kind of like fun little things. I technically group them all together. But this was talking about the stocks and everything. But apparently, politician Taylor Greene said that people panicking over tariffs are losers and failures. Today, she disclosed over a dozen stock purchases, purchasing hundreds of thousands of numerous stocks. She bought them when the market was deeply red. Unusual. So it's like a lot of people tend to not know. But
also, heck of a transition. Speaking of whales, pulls up unusual whales tweet.
Exactly. So yeah, you got things like UPS, Amazon, FedEx,
Lululemon.
Yeah, so you got
JP Morgan.
Yeah, you got quite a few, but still the fact remains though. So it's undisclosed. It's an undisclosed stock, but she bought anywhere from $1,000 to $15,000 worth of each of those stocks, while they were all red. Not saying that there's anything tied to that, but because of that, it's just funny though. It's like how she says like people that are panicking over tariffs are losers and failures. It's like, well, you probably had bukus of money just sitting around to purchase these stocks with because you're a politician. Let's be honest, politicians all have deep pockets in some way.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't really talk about the people who voted you in any kind of way.
Yeah, it was very interesting this past week whenever the stock market appeared to be tanking. And when I say tanking, like definitely didn't hit any new all-time lows for sure. It's still up from where it's been over the last, 5-10 years, give or take. But it was just very interesting, the timing of everything. Because I remember even, was it Monday morning? I remember Trump even said like, hey, it's a good time to buy. And then boom, the pause came in about the tariffs and the market just absolutely rallied. So it does make you wonder, like, who knew what? Because even though I'm not saying she's like one of probably hundreds of government officials and leaders who sold, bought, etc. during, this past week, 2 weeks, they know things that the average person in the public just isn't aware of.
Which is so, like, I know I'm not going to say the word unfair, but dude, come on now. Like, why do y'all have to be so daggum greedy?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I know as a Christian, and as Christians, we're supposed to love on people, but Jesus is going to come back one day, and you will be judged for everything that you're doing on this planet and for everything that you have done on this planet. And I guarantee a lot of these people probably would say like, well, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior and he died for my sins. But at the same time, it's like, you're still doing stuff like this and and like it even says in scripture for everyone should prosper. Everyone should have provision in their life. But people like this find ways to keep people like us from being able to find that in that way. And that's probably not meant for everyone to just trade stocks and do day trading. Like, I know people who do that as their full-time gigs. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Like, I think my job is stressful enough without having to freaking worry about that crap. But it's like, come on now. It's like people shouldn't have to like lose their entire life savings by putting in it, which you never should put your entire life savings into one stock anyways. But still, Anyways,
yeah. No, I mean, I think, did Jesus say something about no commerce at the temple? Maybe no commerce at the White House and State House, the Capitol,
I think if you're in politics, you should be limited on what you can and can't purchase as far as stocks.
I know. It's so tricky. Like, I don't even know how to begin to, like, legislate that. But I agree. I think it's something like
put a limit per year.
Yeah, something like that. Or, like, everything. It's just so tricky because you're privy to so much information that has yet to hit the news wires.
Which they shouldn't be. Seriously, all that information should literally be a need-to-know basis. Like, if it's a state level, like, so how Texas has, like, our stocks, like we have for places that are headquartered here, like, if each state had something similar to that, which I don't, foresee a lot of states having that, considering Texas is as big as it is, and we have the companies that we have here. But I truly believe that if each state had their own publicly traded stocks, in a sense, like, not every state's as big as Texas or California or New York or whatever, that the politicians for that state are limited on that. And if it's a nationally publicly traded stock, then the politicians should be, whether or not your state, local, national politician, you should be regulated by year. Like, do it year by year. Just say, hey, this is how much you can spend each year in stocks, and this is how much you can trade each year, and then and then put it at a cap. Like, you can only make so much every year, because they are going to know about it before we do.
That's the whole thing. Is like, that sounds fine and dandy, but like, how do you regulate that?
$300,000 a year. I'm being generous by saying that.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, in the real world, like, if you put rules up, there's gonna be ways around those rules.
Yeah.
I have this fun theory that I think at one point there's been a couple efforts recently to pass a ban on Congress people buying and trading stocks while they're in office. And I have this fun theory that whenever the time comes for the market to really collapse, I think they'll end up passing legislation to say, hey, members of Congress shouldn't be buying and trading stocks. And so conveniently, they'll have to sell. Every one of them will have to sell, and then the market will absolutely just implode on itself. And they'll be like, well, see, we didn't, we're following the rules. We didn't have to buy. We didn't have to trade. And so they're kind of just like, they'll just leave the mess for the masses to figure out. But I don't even know if the day will ever come.
I don't know. Like that's we live as being an adult, like it's just so like we're literally surviving day by day. Like I don't even think it's like a living factor. It's like a literal like, okay, as long as I can make it through another day, then we're good. At least that's how I feel.
Well, that's how it works in the animal kingdom,
But it's like we live in a time period of just so much unpredictability.
Yeah.
Like since COVID happened, and honestly, since like probably like the previous elections back in like 2016 through 2020, like ever since all that happened, we live in such an unpredictable time age that you never know what's going to happen.
Here's what I wonder too, like, is it really that we live in an unpredictable time period, or is it because we have the most access to information that we've ever had in the history of humanity potentially, and so you're aware of the decision-making capabilities out there, and you're aware of what's happening in places that really don't impact you on a daily basis? Like think about, like I'm guilty of scrolling Twitter almost all day. So when you consume that level of information, I don't think humans are supposed to consume that level of information. First of all, I'm not supposed to be aware of some hit and run that happened in Pennsylvania or some, negative event that happened in a different time zone. There's got to be some kind of a filter on there. So I wonder if have you ever heard of like decision fatigue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you get decision fatigue just scrolling social media because your brain's just thinking about all these things that are happening. And then when you have like a negative timeline,
Well, I think that's, you make a good point, because I think it's like, it's not the unpredictability that you fear, but it's just like, so much that you're just like, what is going to happen next?
Yeah.
Like you start thinking like, okay, I got to do this. Okay, I got to do this. Okay, I got to do this, based on what's happening of things that you can't control.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we can't control what they do. Like
there's been times where I don't think I'll ever do this, but I've toyed with the idea of like, man, what if I just like totally disconnected from all social media and only did this podcast? Like I stopped scrolling X, I stopped looking at the news, and it's just like, it's just this, and this is like my one outlet, and I interact.
I'll say you get one day a week where you interact on stuff, and it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know. I've thought about it, like not fully cutting it out, but like I have been limiting myself. Like if I'm being honest, like I don't really do Facebook a lot anymore.
Yeah.
Like I only use it for work, and I don't even really post videos that much. But Twitter, TikTok, like I don't even get on Instagram anymore. Like I don't do anything with Instagram at all anymore. And so it's just like, it's literally Twitter and TikTok are probably like the two that, like, if I post anything, it'd be that. And then again to Facebook. But that's like, I'm on YouTube more than I'm on anything else, honestly. Like,
yeah.
And like, that's just for like educational, teachable, like, like I can learn new skills and watch videos of informational stuff. Like I get a lot of my news from YouTube also. Yeah. So it's like, I'll watch like certain podcasts on that and everything. So
yeah. And YouTube can be a little different too, because you can watch longer form stuff. And when I say long form, I mean just like more than 5 minutes, really.
Yeah.
And so it's a little different. It's kind of like you're sitting down, you're really consuming, understanding.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's not just like a 10-second hot take on something that gets you like riled up either direction.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, only time will tell. Another thing, these are just kind of like two funny things on Twitter as well. So I found this actually like a week or two ago. Apparently Columbia graduates tear their diplomas over the college caving to Trump. So apparently, I guess like with like some
What's
stuff.
Their loss?
I'm like,
School of International and Public Affairs chanted Free Palestine as they destroyed their sheepskins. It was Alumni Day on campus. Protests are in support of Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia grad student and protester now held by ICE agents. And they also object to the concessions made to curb protests on campus.
We will continue to rage at this institution until Mahmoud Khalil is free. Yeah! Until students are free. To fight for Palestinian rights and liberation.
graduates of the School of International and Public Affairs.
Any hot takes?
More power to them, but that's what I'm saying. Like stuff like that, I'm like, that has no impact on me at all. I could say things that would probably get me in trouble in places in life, but I'm like, they're not doing anything productive there. They're not
like, you don't get another diploma if you rip that one up, do you? Like, they don't give you. You can order a copy. I think
you can order another copy because people just lose theirs sometimes, and they just want to get another paper copy. And you pay probably, I don't know, $25, $50 to get it reprinted.
Like the original type one though? That's the thing.
Probably, I imagine so. It's similar to like if you were to lose your birth certificate or lose your social security card. Like, yeah, you pay to get it reprinted. You know?
Gotcha. Yeah, because like I'm at like a I'm similar to you. It's like it doesn't really affect me that much, but it's like, why?
Did you ever follow the Libs of TikTok account?
No, I watched videos from it, I think, but I never followed it.
Yeah, they just find videos like that and they'll just resurface them.
So here's kind of my, like, I guess like hot take, and it's not in any way like kind of going after anyone or saying anything derogatory, but it's like when you look at the left or liberals, like I don't want to just refer to them as the left. Like I want to, liberals, Democrats, whatever. Their whole like, Black Lives Matter, it's like they're focused on other ethnicities rather than, and other countries and other groups of people rather than their own people. But yet you talk about how you love everyone. You talk about how it's okay to be gay. You talk about how it's okay to do this and to do this and to love everyone. But then, like, there's this one guy, I don't know his name, but I see him when he does videos, but he comes out with a speaker and a microphone and he goes to Pride Fests and he's like, and he wears sunglasses, short hair, and he's like, Jesus loves you. And this one girl had an opinion about that, and she was like, so Jesus died for my sins, right? And he loves me no matter what, right? And the guy said yes, and she's like, that's all I needed to know. And it's like, okay, well, that may be the case, but you still have to choose to live an obedient lifestyle to God. So it's like you can say that Christ saved you, but if you're choosing not to live the way that Christ intended for us to live, then he died for nothing. And so they talk about love and all these other things about all these other groups, but yet you won't love the people who are actively trying to love you. It's like, I may not support or I may not like the way that you live, but I'm still going to love on you and try to, talk with you through it, but I'm not going to condone the way that you're living in a sense, like that's just not cool. But yeah, I don't know. That's just, like, I saw that and I was like, what you're doing, it doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. Not that we don't care about those people, but it's like, we want to be able to have our country the way that we want our country. Every other country can have you go to a different country, you have to follow their laws. So
yeah,
what's so hard about like, yeah, you have freedom of speech, so you're practicing that right, as is your right, protesting and everything. But there's other laws and other things that you have to follow as well. Just like if you go to any other country, you have to follow their laws. So it's like, I don't know. That's just kind of like my small hot take on that.
Yeah, no, I always say just follow the money. Some of these protest groups, just follow the money. It'll tell you a lot. Money. Yeah.
I guess the last thing, apparently Michelle Obama's divorcing Barack Obama.
Dude, that's been a rumor for a while now. I don't think it's going to happen.
This was April 13th at 2025, 4:13 p.m.
Oh, on what? Like what news outlet?
It was on Rothman's Twitter page. I don't know much about this one, but it says celebrities Michelle Obama, I'm not divorcing Barack, I'm choosing me. And then someone said, if two men can't make something work, what hope is there?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've heard this rumor be floated around for a while. I think it's literally just a rumor.
I mean, it very well could be just to get TV time and stuff like that. Because I didn't even know anything about it. That's why I kind of brought it up. I didn't know anything about it, and I haven't heard anything about it because, again, that it doesn't affect me. At all. But yeah, I thought that was just like, again, that's just my Twitter takes that I had from a couple weeks.
No, that's funny. And I'll probably be better in the coming weeks about having more Twitter posts to pull up. It's just been, it's been busy with this whole moving thing and like getting the house all set up. And man, Lowe's is the new place I go to on a daily basis.
Apparently, they're shutting down all their locations.
Lowe's?
I saw like an article about that. Hold on, let me double check.
No, I think Lowe's doing fine.
Okay, that's kind of gay.
Oh, are you talking about how they're going to close on Easter?
Okay, the article did not say that, but it said that they were shutting all the. It really didn't, because it says Lowe's will close all stores
for 24 hours. Here's why.
But it didn't say 24 hours on there though. It just literally said.
That is such like a clickbait headline. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, duh, they're going to be closed on Easter. This is such a clickbaity, but I'm like, it's like Newsweek, so it's like,
yeah, okay, wow. So I guess I'm wrong.
This is such like a no. This isn't even on your fault. Like this is such a poor choice of a headline that these news agencies are using for this.
Either way,
it's like saying like all Chick-fil-A stores are going to close down once a week on Sunday. Like, okay, duh.
See, Lowe's is good for your interior design, but I prefer Home Depot.
Yeah,
especially since there's a Home Depot like 5 minutes from us now.
Yeah, I grew up as a Home Depot guy, but Lowe's got me hooked. But thankfully, where I live, there, you know how there's always like a CVS next to a Walgreens? Mm-hmm. It's like that with this. The Lowe's and the Home Depot are literally next to each other.
That's kind of how the Lowe's is. So like the Lowe's is like 5 minutes from the Home Depot on the other side of town.
Yeah.
But they built a brand new Home Depot on our side of town.
Oh.
And it opened up like late last year or something like that. And so now I don't even have to go. If they would just put a Harbor Freight over here, dude, I'd never have to go to the other side of town ever again. I'd get everything over here at Home Depot and Harbor Freight and I'd be set. Because I don't Lowe's, they sell power tools, but it's like I'm a Milwaukee person.
You're a loyalist.
I'm a loyalist.
Yeah.
The only other power tool brand that I would probably use would be Craftsman, and Home Depot doesn't sell Craftsman, but Lowe's does, and they run really good deals during the holidays. So this year for the holiday season, if I have the money, they run a deal where you can buy a 2-pack of batteries for $100 and you get a free power tool.
Oh, that is a good deal. I will try to remember that. Yeah.
And they do it. Apparently they do it every single, like they pretty much do it every single holiday season.
Yeah.
And so when they do that, I'm going to go in there and see what I can find. But if they're running deals on Milwaukee stuff at Home Depot, which they almost always are every single holiday season.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in there and drop like a few $100. And
that's a good deal. Yeah. No, I got to remember that.
So they always do that because I need a router and I need a better, like I have a circular saw and a router, but I need a handheld router with a battery. And I need a circular saw with a battery.
Yeah.
I don't need the corded ones. I need cordless, brushless. Like I'd just rather have all Milwaukee, so I don't have to worry about.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Buying different stuff.
And it's a good brand too. Like I've never really heard anything bad about them.
Like I love my Milwaukee driver set. It's so nice. It's so nice. I got it for $300, man. Brand new in the case and everything. A guy sold it on Facebook Marketplace. He got 2 sets, and he marketed one for $300. That's a $450, $500 set, and he sold it to me for $300. I was like, deal.
Yeah.
Hands down, brand new, everything.
Yeah. No, that's a good deal.
So
heck yeah.
But that's all I got. I mean, I have more, but we're already kind of.
No, it's all good.
Kind of getting up there. I can always post it for next week.
Yeah. No, we already got. I think for those of you who are still listening, first of all, cheers to you. Thanks for making it to the end. But yeah, I think next week for sure. I might follow up. I didn't really talk about it, but. Yeah, we had like this house explode in Austin today where like people heard it like cities away. TBD on what it was. My guess is I think a gas line. I think someone left their stove on. Someone lit a match or something. And
if it was a gas thing though, it would have affected other. Because usually when you have a gas line at one house, you have a gas line going through other houses too.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It was a house that. It's in a part of town where they had some space between houses. They weren't like sandwiched in next to each other. And I'll just share this real quick because I know I'm not going to talk about this next week and I'm not going to dive into too much detail. But yeah, 6 injured after house explosion in Northwest Austin, cause under investigation. Here's like a photo so you can see like the house ain't there no more. Yeah, there's still no official cause for it, but Texas Gas Services, which is a natural gas company, did have a statement saying, if you smell gas, say something. So it makes you wonder. But yeah, like people heard this thing for like miles away. So I don't know. Safety first. Check the stove before you go to sleep. Don't leave the stove on.
It's one of the many things about gas. Like I wouldn't mind having gas in a home, but at the same time, there's so much more that goes into it that I'm just like, like if I want to cook with gas, I'll get a gas grill and just cook with propane.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't even like cooking with propane. I'd rather just get a smoker and just have it all natural at that point. Or, you know, how some people have black stones. I don't understand the hype about black stones. Not that I don't want one. There's so much maintenance that goes into those.
Yeah.
Versus like I could just get a big smoker and just cook meats like all the time kind of thing. You know, it's like black stones take too much maintenance. Like, and I have a buddy who has one, and it's like he's cleaning that sucker like almost every day. Like, 'cause, I mean, they use it quite often, but he's cleaning it like almost every day. And it's
at
like
that point, it takes the fun out of it too.
Yeah. And it's like, but if you don't clean them though for a long period of time, then it's like they get rusted. It's like a cast iron flat top is essentially what it is. So I don't know. I have my opinions about them, but I'd rather have just a good smoker, like something large that's just out in the backyard, and I could just, you know, just use that however I need to use it. And then maybe have a traditional grill, but I don't know. There's so many different things that you could do now for it, but I just, you know, when it comes to just gas versus electric, I mean, I don't really care. I don't have a preference. As long as it works and it cooks my food, I don't care.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Well, with that, episode 63 of Unscripted Company is in the books. If you made it this far in the episode, first of all, hi, shout out to you. Appreciate you. You're part of the company. As a company member, we just ask a few things of you. If you can go down there below and give the episode a like, leave a comment, let us know what you thought. Is there anything you want us to talk about in a future episode? Are you a gas? Are you a propane, which is also a gas? Do you prefer charcoal, electric? What's your vibe? Let us know. Also, head on over to unscriptedcompany.com. You can find all the links. I'm guessing you're probably listening or watching us on a certain platform. Give that channel a subscribe and we'll appreciate it. But to always end us out, Riley, got any words of wisdom?
Don't rip up your diploma for someone that you don't know. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
There's other ways to get your point across rather than ripping up a diploma. Granted, you know, you can always, your degree, your degree. You can always get another one, but still, you worked hard for it. Don't rip it up for someone that you don't know. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of other. Don't listen to politicians when they call you an idiot because you didn't trade stocks. We don't know what we don't know. They know everything. And at the end of the day, you'll find whatever it is that you're supposed to find at the end. Also, don't support, like when a story comes out, don't support anything until you know the facts of the story. So going back to one of the first things I talked about with the update to that stabbing, don't believe everything you read online until it is coming from an accurate news source talking about updates for the case that is going on and happening. And we're not going to know anything until probably a lot of it just happens. Like, we're not going to know what's going on. So don't just believe whatever someone posts on social media. Don't believe the narrative that they're pushing until you have the actual facts. If that narrative happens to be true, cool, by all means believe it. But people should have the ability to raise money for whoever they want to raise money for. They should have the ability to do whatever they want to do. It is a free country at the end of the day, but just take everything with a grain of salt until you have the actual facts in hand. That's all I got to say.